From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Monday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. We start this Monday with the latest on the pandemic. In Montana, another 4 COVID-19 related deaths were announced, including one here in Yellowstone County. This latest victim brings the total number of deaths in the county to 113. Numbers show over 470 Montanans are in hospitals across the state. In Yellowstone County, there are close to 3,600 active cases. And with Thanksgiving coming up this week, it's usually filled with happiness, family, and food. But this year's holiday season also means more than 600 Montana families are missing and mourning the loss of a loved one due to COVID-19. Grief can be a helpless feeling, but one Lame Deer man is taking the tragedy of his father's death from COVID-19 to help others.
My father, his name is Isidore Whitewolf. He was a vet. I was close to him. I didn't think nothing of it when he first told me. He said, "Son, if I get this COVID, I'm not going to make it." And I thought, oh, he's tough. He'd been through a couple of heart stent surgeries and he gets through with diabetes.
But Isidore would be right. A positive test on August 21st.
I remember him telling me that he was scared when he did get it.
He took his last breath 22 days later on September 11th. His family left to mourn.
We all felt the grief and the shock of, we didn't see any of this coming to us.
And they weren't alone.
There was a lot of loss. At the time that I was at the hospital, there was a lot of people from my home and my town that passed away at the same time.
Goldstein and his family live in Lame Deer on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. His father's battle would be one of more than 30 lost on the reservation since the pandemic began.
And I was just feeling a lot of grief. And I didn't have a support group.
He turned to the internet, but a search didn't turn up any groups focused on lives lost to COVID-19.
So from there, I just thought, if it's either a couple of choices. Either I can wait around and see if someone does bring one up or does start something that would help us in our local areas, or I can start with myself.
And that's how the Loss of Loved Ones to COVID-19 support group was born. Hosted every other Tuesday, Goldstein held his first Zoom session 2.5 weeks after his father's passing.
It was just about relating to each other, and not surprisingly, but we were all going through the same things with how to do this.
And to be in a group with people who are going through the same thing or have experienced the same thing is very helpful.
Terry Steinbrink is a hospice chaplain and bereavement specialist at Riverstone Health.
They realize I'm not crazy, there's nothing wrong with me, this is part of the natural grief process. So it's really helpful for them to be able to share with people that understand what they're going through.
While all deaths are tragic, a loved one passing away during the pandemic can add another layer of grief due to restrictions brought on by COVID-19.
A lot of them weren't able to see their loved ones at the end, which has added to the grief. They weren't able to have funerals or had really small funerals. And they just don't have quite as much support because people aren't dropping by to visit with them.
And as deaths across Montana add up, it means one less family member at the table during holiday gatherings, or for some, more.
Thanksgiving and Christmas are two of the harder holidays because they're thought of as family holidays. And so when you've lost, someone in your family, one woman I talked to a few weeks ago lost 4 family members. I mean, that's going to really impact their holidays.
Although they might not be present physically, the grieving process is softened when you allow them to be present spiritually.
It's important to come up with some way to remember their loved one. And we've had people do that in different ways. Some of them have maybe planted something, a plant that will bloom around the holidays. Some people light a candle in memory. If the whole family is comfortable, sometimes they'll share memories of the loved one. But I think it's really important for them to include some sort of ritual or way to remember their loved one through the holidays, because it's really hard to just try to pretend like everything's okay when it's not.
As he makes progress toward closure, Goldstein is willing to make himself vulnerable in hopes of helping others.
I would just suggest people to make sure they reach out and not not go through whatever traumas they're experiencing alone.
And this advice for anyone grieving this holiday season.
Be gentle with yourself. Do not have the same expectations of yourself through the holidays. Maybe simplify things. If you don't feel like going anywhere, that's okay. Just to really take care of yourself through the holidays.
And running has also played a part in Goldstein's journey to closure. On October 19th, he ran 26 miles. That's 1 mile for each member of the community that lost the battle against COVID-19 by that time. And if you're looking for resources and a local support group, details are listed in this story on ktvq.com. Well, now it's time to turn our attention to weather. Ed joins us here on the set now with a look at what the week has yet to bring. What's going on, Ed?
Yeah, we got a little bit of variation, but the theme is the same. The temperatures are going to be really consistent as they have been, starting the morning at 25 degrees, a little bit of a southwest wind. Yesterday, we had temperatures that moved back up into the 40s one more time. 47 yesterday, 5 degrees warmer than average for this time of the year. And regionally, we're starting off with teens and 20s across most of the map to get going a little bit warmer around Cut Bank, but we also have some wind around Cut Bank over towards Great Falls. Not particularly strong gusts, but winds will play a factor through the week. Temperatures here in southern Montana and northern Wyoming, anywhere from the teens across the eastern plains. Check out Hardin and Crow Agency in the low double digits. Only 7 in Grable this morning, compared with temperatures in the 30s in some of the areas to the west of Billings. Big Timber right now said 33 a couple of minutes ago. Temperatures up into the mid to upper 40s once again, but the clouds increase later in the day. We'll take you through the rest of the week's forecast coming up in a little bit.
It did bite this morning. I forgot to put my car in the garage last night, and ta-da! I looked at our weather center and it said 18 degrees, and I'm like, why of all days? All right, well, I'll be putting it in the garage tonight. We'll see what else happens this week.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Ed.
Thanks.
On campus, the pandemic made the first semester at the University of Montana one of the strangest ever. It wrapped up last week, and for seniors, it wasn't the final year they had envisioned. They said the mostly online format left them feeling isolated. Interaction with classmates was non-existent, and some felt it was harder to motivate themselves to pay attention in class. Many, like Billings resident Haley Monaco, said leaving home in a year like this might have been the wrong decision.
At the beginning of the semester, it was really hard coming to Missoula just because, I don't know, was I saying goodbye to my parents for the last time, and like all those scary things that you have to think about. And honestly, I don't think it was worth it this semester.
And Haley is on track to graduate this spring. She's hoping for a traditional commencement and the ability to walk with her classmates at graduation. Nationally, more than 256,000 Americans have died from the coronavirus. Health officials say life won't get back to normal until a vaccine is widely distributed around the country. They want Americans to stay home for the holidays, including this week. But as CBS's Bofta Yamam reports, some have already started their Thanksgiving travel.
There's a lot more people here than I thought would be here.
Many Americans aren't letting the coronavirus stop them from traveling for Thanksgiving.
I'm 64 years old, and I just want to enjoy what we can enjoy while we can.
More than 2 million people passed through TSA checkpoints on Friday and Saturday. AAA expects 50 million to travel in some form this week.
I just don't want to risk it at all.
Peyton Udo won't be one of them.
Video chat my family as well, because I wish I could be with them, clearly, and they really want me to come home, but I had to turn them down.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says Americans should stay put.
You see the clips on TV, people's at airports. I mean, those are the things we've got to realize are going to get us into even more trouble than we're in right now.
A record 83,000 Americans are currently hospitalized with COVID-19, and cases are on the rise in most of the country.
And we know travel just is like embers spreading it. It's like somebody carrying those embers in a plane.
Dr. Monsef Slawi is chief advisor to Operation Warp Speed, the federal government's coronavirus vaccine development program.
Most people need to be immunized before we can go back to a normal life.
He hopes at least 20 million Americans will be vaccinated by the end of the year if the FDA approves an emergency authorization next month.
On the 11th or on the 12th of December, hopefully, the first people will be immunized across the United States.
Experts say healthcare workers and the elderly should be the first to get the vaccine. Bofta Imam, CBS News, Washington.
Pfizer applied for an emergency use authorization last week that the FDA could approve in about 2 weeks. Moderna is expected to apply sometime this week. Also making headlines this morning, President-elect Joe Biden is expected to name his cabinet picks tomorrow. Biden's incoming chief of staff, Ron Klain, did not say which cabinet positions would be part of his initial announcement. However, sources say he'll choose Anthony Blinken to be the next Secretary of State. He was a Deputy Secretary of State under former President Obama and a national security advisor when Biden was vice president. Other contenders for the post include Senator Chris Coons and Susan Rice. Turning now to crime news, police are investigating a shooting that sent a man to the hospital over the weekend in West Billings. It happened Saturday night near 68th Street West and Colton Boulevard. Investigators are still searching for a suspect, but say there is no threat to the public. The victim's injuries were non-life-threatening, and so far, no other information on the suspect has been released. Also happening over the weekend, a 17-year-old boy lost his life in Bighorn County when the vehicle he was driving struck a horse near Busby. It happened late Saturday night. The victim was not wearing his seatbelt, and Highway Patrol officials say speed was likely a factor in the crash. The boy's name has not been released. Now we go to Bozeman, where two businesses are getting creative to keep operating during the pandemic. MTN's Gabby Kravitz shows us the surprising partnership between a fitness studio and a concert hall.
Throughout the entire pandemic, we've learned about different businesses working together, helping support each other during a difficult time. Here at the Rialto is another story of partnership and community. And no, that's not a concert taking place behind me.
When you walk in and you get on your bike, you just feel like you're in the middle of a world-class concert venue, which that's what it is.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been extra challenging for gyms and workout studios around the world. Zephyr Cycling Studio in Bozeman says they've needed to be extra creative and adaptable to keep their doors open. Owner Carolyn Williams says it's been a lot of work.
We have tried just about everything, I think, at this point.
After shutting down for a period of time, Zephyr reopened in June and started offering classes outdoors in their parking lot. The cold weather and increasing number of cases in the county meant Zephyr had to try to find another space, a space large enough to ensure lots of opportunities for social distancing. This prompted Williams to reach out to the general manager of the Rialto Concert Hall, another business greatly affected by the pandemic.
He and I got to talking and realized it might be a good opportunity for both of us in order for our businesses to collaborate and support one another. And so we moved in a week ago, and we are really excited about the way things are going.
While the last 8 months have been difficult for the business, offering classes at the Rialto has been a unique, one-of-a-kind experience for everyone.
The Rialto is just this beautiful, iconic venue. So it's really special to be able to be here with the acoustics, with the lights, with the music, with the people.
In Bozeman, Gabby Kravitz, MTN News.